In today's video, I'll be demonstrating my techniques for painting this lovely cottage scene using the Alla Prima wet into wet oil painting technique. So I begin with a very light wash over the whole canvas, and for this I'm using some turquoise, a cobalt teal actually, and also a little bit of very pale violet. And I want to tone the canvas with this mixture so that it kind of flavours the whole of the painting and influences the colours that are going to be added later. I'm using a very, very small amount of liquid as my medium. I'll begin in the sky area. This is using some titanium buff just to add a little bit of warmth into that sky. And then I'll switch to white to start adding some soft cloud effects in there. I'm keeping my brush strokes very, very loose for this. Once I've got that soft tone in there, I'll just begin defining a couple of those clouds. Again, I'm keeping everything nice and soft in this painting. I'll block in the trees using a really dark mixture of green and begin to sort of create those outer edges using the fan brush and a pushing motion just to create some of that lovely texture that you get on trees. Once I've blocked in the trees, I'll start to highlight them, again using the fan brush, and you can see I'm sliding that brush to get a lovely ridge right on the edge, and that allows me to just touch the canvas and highlight those trees. For the roof, I begin by blocking in with a very thin layer of burnt sienna. That's just to get an undercolour. Next, I'll use some burnt sienna and a lovely tapping motion to create some of that texture. We're adding the darks in now onto this thatch roof. Once I've got those mid-tones from that burnt sienna and the dark from that burnt umber, I'll begin layering the lighter tones on top. You'll see I'm using a very old warm bristle brush and I'm just lightly tapping this lighter tone on the top to try and create some of that texture in that thatched roof. Work on the walls of the cottage, I really want to dance some other colours in, so I'm using the titanium buff, but I'm also going to dance in a little bit of that pale lavender as well. And this is just so it doesn't look like a flat white cottage. I want to have a little bit of variety in there as well. Remembering to add a slightly darker tone for some shadow under the eaves. And once I've got all those lovely undertones peeking through, I'm going back over with some more white and just highlighting certain parts on the front fascia of this cottage. As I come forward in the painting, I begin to block in the little bushes in front of the cottage in exactly the same way as I did those background trees, starting with a very dark green and then going back with a lighter green and a very light touch just to highlight these small trees and bushes. To create the effect of that dry stone wall, I'm simply scratching back with a credit card, with the end of a credit card, just to create those textures. I continue with the blocking in, and this is just detailing the bushes and trees that are behind those main tree trunks. For the pathway, I'm back to using the fan brush and some burnt umber and really just sort of stippling on, tapping that to get that texture of that gravelly pathway. Once I've got some darks in there, I'll switch to some burnt sienna and continue with this same tapping texture. Add in yet another layer of lighter texture with some of that titanium buff. Using a small flat brush, I drag down some titanium white to give the illusion of some puddles. I added a few larger stones and then also went back in and picked out a few areas to highlight. Next, I used a light green to pick out some highlights on the bushes over on the right. And then I simply used burnt umber to block in the main tree trunks. Using some thin down burnt umber, I begin to add some of those thinner branches. I'm using a liner brush for this. I'm using some cobalt teal to create a little bit of reflective light on the left hand side of these tree trunks. And then I'm adding a warmer highlight to the right hand side of these tree trunks. And finally add in some foreground grasses and some details. And once I'm happy, I'll sign the painting. I really do hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. The full real-time version, the 2-hour version of this, is available on the MazArt Academy, along with many other tutorials, and I'll leave a link to that in the description box below. And if you are enjoying the content on this channel, please do let me know in the comments section below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. In today's video, I'll be demonstrating wet into wet oil painting technique. The full 2-hour version I really do hope you've enjoyed. If you are enjoying the content on this channel, please do let me know in the description box. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. I'm going to leave it at that.